We back in effect, baby. The official start of the 2025 NFL season is happening in less than 10 minutes, guys. Welcome back. You know what I'm saying? J-Hen Fantasy with Justin Henry, Prabat Parmar here. P, I ain't even seen you since the last NFL season, homie.
Yeah, man, it's been a while, boy. It's been a while, but you know what, man? I'm back. You know what I mean? I know, I'm saying fan favorite P over here. We got to get it in, man. We got to drop game. We got to game y'all up and, feed the people.
Feed the people. We got a lot of offseason stuff. I covered a lot of the movement yesterday, right? Like the initial fantasy movement, but definitely got to get into some of the newest things that have happened. Let's start off, man. Obviously, today we're seeing the start of the NFL free agency period. So players are getting released. Big names are getting released today. And this is going to be the official, like we already got everybody signing, but like the official start of the season. Cooper Kupp, there was rumors he was going to be traded, released. Then they got Devontae Adams, and it was clear as day Cooper Kupp was no longer going to be on the Rams, man. Honestly, this was a very shocking move. To me, I thought Cooper Kupp was going to be a Ram for life. And then it was very apparent towards the end of the season he wasn't playing well. Puka Nacua took over. It was very apparent like things were not going to go Cooper Kupp's way anymore. I mean, you called it. You flinched the eyebrows. You called it, bruh.
You already know.
It's very apparent to me like Cooper Kupp needed a fresh start. So he's officially released. There's some rumors out there that the Pats are interested, the Cowboys are interested. I think that the Jags would be a really nice fit. Talk to me, Pete. Cooper Kupp got released today, man.
Yeah, that's tough, man, because, Cooper Kupp seems like one of those people who was, drafted by the Rams. I don't know. I don't know why exactly he got released. Maybe he didn't want to take a pay cut, but I mean, here we are. Although he's really talented, a great fit for that team, you can't deny that he's always kind of had an injury bug, right? Throughout his entire career, you would think that he would be putting up these gaudy numbers just based off like what we look at him in his peak and in his prime from a points per game, a fantasy points per game perspective. But if you look at his career, he's only had 1,000 yard receiving season. So
that's crazy to say too.
It's nuts, right? It's nuts because when you think about him, you think about the Triple Crown wide receiver. You know what I'm saying? You think about, 18 targets, 12 catches per game type shit. But, I mean, it is what it is. Teams got to make moves, man. Teams got to make moves. And as far as where he's going to go, I don't know. There's a few good places, but do you really think no matter where he goes, he's going to be like a marquee player?
Listen, I think that's what you have to decide is, do you think Cooper Kupp, especially for like fantasy purposes, you got to decide, do you think Cooper Kupp's still elite or not? And you guys can drop your thoughts in the comments. We here chilling with you guys. See you guys. We're going to get to the questions here in a second. But you got to decide, do you think Cooper Kupp is still elite? And I think the tape showed that he still has a lot he can provide. Maybe he's not what he was during his Triple Crown year, and he's not going to get force-fed that. He's not going to be the number one on pretty much whatever team he signs on, right? Like, he's probably going to be the number two playing with a lesser of a quarterback than Matthew Stafford as far as like volume-wise, right? Like, he's probably not going to see a 15 to 20 target game next season, would be my guess. I don't know, depending on the scenario. But I think talent-wise, he's still there. Is he still a wide receiver one, top 10, 12-ish type play? No, I don't think he's worth that. The only situation I could really see that happening, there's only one. One scenario where he might get the volume that he used to, and that's Jacksonville. Jacksonville to me is the only thing is they have Brian Thomas on the outside, but you go back paired up with Liam Cohen. You're paired with Trevor Lawrence, who – we assume he's got to be better just based on the talent level. And they just got rid of Evan Ingram, just trade away Christian Kirk. If Cooper Kupp stays healthy, I can see Jacksonville being a really nice landing spot for him. So I don't know about, they said Pats and Cowboys, those are on the radar, which to me is intriguing, but I think the Jags would be a really nice fit.
Yeah, that does make sense because they vacated two of their kind of like main slot guys, right? And I mean, that would be a good fit. I could see that.
That's his old OC. That was his old offensive coordinator or passing game coach was Liam Cohen.
Yeah. That would probably be the best fit. I mean, I would think of like, I think ideally, I thought he would fit well with like Cincy. I think about like the Texans. I don't think he's going to go anywhere in the division. So I don't know. But do I think he's even like? I think the majority of his career was where he benefited was, in that system, but also the kind of the connection he had with Stafford. Like
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
always on the same page. He was never like a blazing fast guy, not a big guy, but he was always seems to be in like the right spots. You know what I'm saying? He always seems to be just fit right in the zone, and you have to have a special connection to be getting targeted that much.
Well, let me ask
So
you
I don't
this.
know.
Let me ask you this though, because it's an interesting thing, right? Because he's 32, maybe 31, 32, 33, somewhere around there. I don't know the exact age for Cooper Cup. He's older, right? So
Yeah.
you're at this point in the career where you kind of sacrifice. I feel like Cooper Cup kind of sacrificed last year. He was like, okay, like Puka's taking over. Maybe he probably still thought he had it. And then he's been injured, right? So what do you do if you're Cooper Cup? Do you go and say, all right, I'm only playing for a contender. I want to go get a championship? Do you say, I want to play with the young, aspiring quarterback so that way my numbers are good? Or do you say, I want to be the number one receiver? Like, what do you think? Or do I want to get paid and I want to get paid as a one? Because there's a difference between what like Devontae Adams did right now. He's like, hey, I'm going to go try to win a championship, still going to be elite with a elite quarterback pairing. The Patriots are not that. The Patriots are a young quarterback. I want to get
Nah.
paid, and I want to be the number one receiver.
No, I think I think the Patriots are actually like an ideal destination for any wide receiver because they have a young team, they have a young quarterback, but that quarterback is nice. You know what I'm saying? He could fit the ball wherever he wants. And it's like a young Josh Allen over there, just kind of the way he operates. But to answer your question, if I'm Cooper Cup, I think you got to be real with yourself, bro. I think you got to be real with yourself. The best option would in his situation, I think, would to be like, you know what? Let me take a pay cut. Let me stay here. You know what I mean? And let me just work on third downs, or let me just
Stay
accept
with the
a.
Rams?
Yeah, he should have stayed with
Nah,
the
ain't no
Rams
way.
because
Ain't no
you
way.
can't go up and like command wide receiver one money when realistically he's not a prototypical wide receiver one. He's
So
not.
you think Cooper Cup for the rest of his career should be like wide receiver two, slot guy, just not a focal point of the offense anymore? Is that what you're thinking? Or you're thinking that's
Yeah,
what he should do for his career?
I mean, you're talking about the rest of his career. I mean, he's like anywhere between 32 and 35. Like, we don't know his age. Like, we can look that shit up, but let's keep it real. Like, his career
I
is
think he's
not
32.
like his career is not. It's not going to be like a D Hop
But bro, he was
situation.
just, I mean, he's 31 years old. He'll be 32 once the new calendar year starts in June. But he was still producing this year. It's not like when he played, he was just terrible. We saw him 80-yard touchdown running down the field damn near to win a game. We saw him have volume games, especially early in the year before he got hurt. And when Puka Nacua was out, he was still carrying the team. So I'm like, I don't really think Cooper Cup's just like this trash player. He should be like a third piece. Like, he damn near could be the number one receiver on probably a lot of teams. I don't think he's not Devontae Adams. He's not Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's not,
Yeah,
even
he's
Brian
not.
Thomas, Malik Neighbors. He's none of the
No,
elite
he's
guys,
not.
but
No,
he's
he's
that
not.
next tier. I don't see the drop off being like
Yeah,
not a
the
top
thing
tier
about
receiver in the
like
game for real,
I
for real.
can I can see if he was like a prototypical type of wide receiver that just happened to be falling off, or just happened to be, not even falling off on the tail end of his career, but he's not that. He can't fit into any single offense and put up the same numbers as a true wide receiver run would. He can't sustain the volume. He's proven throughout his entire career he's not like he can't withhold a full season, whether it's injury, whether whatever it is. That's just not who he is. Like, he's not a D Hop. He can't just go into any system and be like, I could be a true X receiver. Yeah, throw me these jump balls. He can't do that. You know what I mean?
Man,
That's not who he is. He could be a safety blanket, but from a team's perspective, if you're in the front office and you're looking at Cooper Cup, you're not looking at him like, yeah, let's pay him top wide receiver money. No, nobody's doing that. Like,
well,
realistically.
we're going to find out a lot about Cooper Cup, find out a lot about DeAndre Hopkins, too. Happy new league year. It is officially the 2025 season. We are now in the new season, man. So obviously,
Texas T, the champ.
yes, the champ, man. We're going to take her down next year, bro. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's one of those things, man, where, you talk about DeAndre Hopkins. We'll get to him in a second in his new team. That's going to be an interesting topic. But when you do that, when you decide, okay, I'm going to take less money, it almost signals the end of your career. We saw D-Hop. He got paid 1 year, $6 million or $5 million, whatever it was for the Ravens. They ain't treated him the same since he left the Cardinals. You know what I mean? And if you don't kind of fight for yourself and still say you're elite, like if Devontae Adams would have went and took a lesser pay cut to go play with Pat Mahomes, we would have never been talking about him the same ever again. It's like once you're put into that role, people don't think of you the same way. I just think when you're older, if you value yourself less, there's almost no chance you could come out of that hole, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah, but it's one thing. Like, there's a clear difference between like D-Hop, Devontae Adams, and Cooper Kupp. We can agree on that, right? And not even from the standpoint of like just what they've done in their careers, just the type of receiver they are. Like a D-Hop and to a lesser extent, Devontae Adams, and then to a lesser extent D-Hop, they can kind of command different coverage. They could like stretch the field. You know what I'm saying? Like they can be that big body type of receiver who can fit into different molds.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp, realistically, are you like, okay, Cooper Kupp, you're going to be stretching the field. You're going to open shit up for shit underneath the middle. No, they're going to be like, Cooper Kupp, you fit in your spot. You know what I mean? And you're going to be the one working the middle while we got somebody else, a true X receiver that's going to be able to.
But in today's game, you need that. You need what he does in today's game. Like, there's
I agree. You do need that in today's game, but how much is a front office going to pay for that? At some point, you have to be realistic.
We're going to find out soon because D-Hop got paid $5-6 million, and then Devontae got $22 million or $23 million a year. So Cooper Kupp's going to fall somewhere in there. I'm very curious to see, is it a one-year deal, multi-year deal? Does he get more than Devontae? Does he get closer to D-Hop? Like, I'm very curious to see what this Cooper Kupp, not only what team he goes to, but what contract he gets, because I think that'll tell you a lot about where he's valued in NFL circles and probably where we should be taking him in fantasy. Because if he gets that $7 million, $8 million deal, buy Cooper Kupp. But if he gets 20 plus, I'm gonna be in on Cooper Kupp next year at a distance.
Yeah, I think just keep it real. I think he's 2 years, 14, 2 years, 12 million, 2 years, 14 million. Heavily incentive based.
Nah, bro. We could probably talk for Cooper Kupp for ages.
A few more, yeah.
Start bench cut Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent. Music wise.
I'm starting 50 bench. I'm benching Snoop, cutting Ice Cube. It ain't that.
Ice Cube in the motherfucking house. Yeah. I'm like, bro, I could do without that.
Yeah.
You could.
Now, don't get me wrong. He got some. Today was a good day.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
and but Ice Cube, we don't get Friday or next Friday or Friday after next. So
yeah, or the barbershop. No, just...
What's the other movie? All About the Benjamins.
Oh, that's a classic. 35 for the 7.
Yeah, that's lucky you right there, bro.
Hey, I'll take it.
Now, obviously, we talked about DeAndre Hopkins. That was one of the later. I didn't get a chance to talk about that yesterday. I went over all the free agent moves yesterday. So if you missed some of the fantasy reactions to the free agency moves that have already happened and trades that have already happened, check out yesterday's episode. It's all broken up for you. But we got news last night, yesterday afternoon here in the West Coast. DeAndre Hopkins signed with the Ravens. This is kind of a major move, in my opinion. I think this is a major move.
I agree.
Getting a really talented receiver to go alongside Lamar. Listen, he's been able to do it with Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Washdell Beckham. But DeAndre Hopkins to the Ravens, bro? What was your thoughts when you saw that, man?
Listen, dude, I went out to all these group chats and I said, bro, they just got D-Hop. And it seemed like everybody was like, and what does that mean? Okay. And I'm like, bro, like what? Like you put D-Hop, like it's different when you got D-Hop going to KC, right? KC's offense wasn't like a top offense. They're transitioning to like being a running team, playing defense. Cool.
Yeah.
He goes to a team with probably, was it the highest scoring offensive team, an unstoppable run game, And the one thing that team needed was a premier X true wide receiver, right? Like throughout his entire career, Lamar has not had that. They've given him some, they've given him some love. He's got these, these tweener slot kind of guys that are like speedy, but you give him a big wide receiver. I'm just like, I would not be surprised if D-Hop can get you in fantasy wise, one of the cheapest, like 1,200 yard seasons, 8
That's
touchdowns minimum.
That's asking a lot.
You think that's asking a lot?
I think in Baltimore it's asking a lot, especially when you already got Rashad Bateman, you already got Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is their guy. But I'm just saying that's their guy they drafted. That's the one that they force feed him. The tight ends are a big part of the offense. Derrick Henry is a big part of the offense. So unless Lamar takes like a really big bump up in passing, I think he's more like a 806 to 8 type guy. Like I don't really see 1,200.
I can look. I can see like 1,100, and I'm gonna tell you like this. I think that the signing of D-Hop is more of a change in philosophy, right? They've been trying to do it with, we're gonna run multiple tight ends. We're gonna do this. In crunch time, we seen what that done, bro. We time and time again, like it's a change in philosophy is what it screams to me, because like, you got one good tight end and then one like, slightly above average tight end, and they just don't come up when you need them.
That's the question.
Exactly, bro. Like you're
which one is which?
From week to week, they switch, and it's just like, bro, like if you get somebody who can beat one-on-one coverage, because he's probably going to see a lot of one-on-one coverage with that run game, with those other weapons, he's going to see some one-on-one coverage. And if you can get somebody who's athletic enough, big enough body to kind of box out in the red zone, I think it just takes this offense to another level. We know he's older, right? We know he's not the D-Hop that we've seen in Houston. We know that. But we've seen wide receivers in offenses and high scoring offenses, if they're just that one piece that can fit, I don't think there needs to be a lot to change for him to squeeze out 1,100 yards. I mean,
we've been on, both of us are D-Hop fans, and I think we recognize the talent that D-Hop is. And I think as NFL purists, you want to be like, all right, cool. Like we recognize who you are in your spot in the game. He's going to be should be a Hall of Famer at some point in his career. But it's tough because we haven't really seen D-Hop string together a full season like that, but B, also be put in that spot since Arizona. Like we didn't see it in Tennessee. I think he had 1,000-yard year. He didn't have 10 touchdowns. And then with KC, and it's like his best year with Arizona was like pre-injury. He was getting injured a lot in Arizona. So I mean, really like what, 1 or 2 seasons in Arizona, and since Houston, we ain't seen this prime D-Hop. So I think to say 1,200 when he's 33 years old is just a little bit of a stretch, especially when this offense doesn't need him like that. So.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's a ceiling of 1,200. Like I may be a little, zealous with that. 1,100, I could see that. And we talk about his Arizona days. You cannot talk to him like you cannot talk about D-Hop like he was washed at that point.
I never said that. I'm just saying string together a complete season like that. He had 1 or 2. It was only like 1 or 2 seasons in Arizona where he was like D-Hop, because the rest of him he was hurt and he got suspended.
But listen, like think about that. Think about when you think about D-Hop in Arizona. What I think about is a target monster. Right, he was proven he was a target monster when he was healthy. Him and Kyler Williams, they were on the same page. And you also think about
we got to get you back up to speed.
Yeah, but I mean, listen. You also think about him in Arizona. You also think about him in Arizona. Kyler. You think about him in Arizona. Listen. The biggest highlight was when they came back and beat the Bills. And how did they beat the Bills that game? Triple coverage, jumping up, bam! That's 3 years ago. Listen, you look at him in KC, he's coming in the middle of the season. What wide receiver, if you come in the middle of the season, is going to just be on point like that? There's a whole nother playbook. That's chemistry you got to get on with him. And, he looked terrible in the Super Bowl. Yeah, he did. I give him that. But there were spots where he looked good.
So it's been since 2020 was the last time we seen DeAndre Hopkins have over 1,100 yards. He had 1,400 yards that season in his first season with Arizona. Since
Yeah.
then, he's played 10 games, 9 games. And then with Tennessee, he was battling through injury, had 1,057 yards and 7 touchdowns. And then in KC last year, played 16 games for them, had 600 yards and 5 touchdowns. So it's like, I think maybe
You're talking
we're
about
hoping.
playoffs included?
No, that's just a regular season. But that's
16 games with KC.
he played 16. Yeah, he went in the offseason.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, it was the offseason. He got traded to Tennessee in the middle of that year. I thought
Am I
he got
tripping,
traded
bro?
to
No,
Tennessee.
I don't know if I
Oh, it
don't
was
know
the
if that's
offseason. He
right.
got traded to Tennessee too. I'm tripping, but yeah, he got
Yeah,
traded.
it was the middle of the season in
No,
KC.
Tennessee. It was the middle of last year where he got traded. It
Yeah,
was. You're right.
yeah,
You're right. It just
of
says
course, bro.
my bad. I'm over here reading the thing. It was a trade. He got traded to Tennessee, from Tennessee to KC in the middle of last year.
Yeah, in
You're
the
right.
middle of the season. So when you say 16 games, you're probably talking about with one shitty ass quarterback going to Patrick Mahomes and maybe including like some playoff games. I don't know.
Okay, and he got traded. It was week.
I want to say week 5.
Yeah, he didn't. I mean, it wasn't like he was. He had better days than he did with Tennessee, but yeah, he got traded week 5 because he was out there. It just the numbers. He had no 100-yard games. So.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He didn't.
All I'm saying is, I think to expect him to return like wide receiver 2+ value, which is what 1,000 with 8 and like 1,200 yards is probably a little too much. I think. I hear you though. I hear you. I think he'll be better than what most people think because there's people who get excited about like Joshua Palmer. You know what I'm saying? Like mediocre players. So
Yeah,
I think he'll be better than that. He's an elite talent. So I think that's the hard part, man. And it's hard too as like a fan watching. You know, you watch things start to crumble very quickly in fantasy and in real football too, bro. You sporting that Niner hat over there, man. I got the Niner hat in the background. Things have changed in a major way. So I don't know, man. I'm hurt right now as a Niner fan. I've been hurt for a while, but I'm even more hurt now because it feels like things are crumbling as a Niner fan. It feels like changes are coming and they're happening very fast. We lost Debo. Kyle Juszczyk, I thought he was forever a Niner, got cut.
yeah.
That was interesting to me. We thought we were getting Joey Bosa. Didn't happen, man. Talk to me, Pete. How are you right now? Obviously, I'm doom and gloom Niner fan at this point in stage of my life right now. But how are you feeling with that Niner hat on, sporting it proudly right now, knowing we got to pay Brock Purdy $50 million here very soon, at least?
We're going to have to pay somebody, Twin. We're going to have to pay somebody. But look, I mean, if you're a Niner fan through and through, you got to have thick skin, bruh. With all the shit that we done been through, man, you got to have thick skin. You know, I was a lot more hurt yesterday than I am today. You know what I mean?
Why is that?
And if you think about it, and I'm trying to pull up the full list of like all the people that we got rid of so I can kind of go through it. But we have a lot of change, but these people that we've gotten rid of, if we're keeping it G, they were either often injured or underperforming, and they were mad expensive. That's just a fact, right? Like Debo, Debo is, we seen his year last year. He's getting longer in the tooth. Although he's a fan favorite, he's just realistically like overpaid, right? You can say that. You know, Charvarius Ward, he needed a new start. He needed a fresh start. He went through a lot of off the season things. You know, his son died and his family just didn't want to be in California because that's where his son had passed, right? So do we got breaking news here?
We got breaking news, bro.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We got some breaking news. And I love your little, sob story about the Niners you're about to put on here and how you're still hopeful and optimistic. But we got a signing today. So obviously we talked about the new year starting 2025. We have news. Evan Ingram signs with the Broncos. Sean Payton gets his joker for fantasy purposes. It was a shock to see Evan Ingram cut a couple weeks ago. Like he was cut. And I was like, man, like Evan Ingram just got a 4-year deal. Obviously, Jacksonville, once they got Liam Cohen, decided they wanted to move on. But Sean Payton had been asking. He wanted Greg Dulcich to be his Joker. He wanted a pass catching either running back or tight end. And now Evan Ingram goes, who we know what Evan Ingram does with Sean Payton does with tight ends. He gets one of the better pass catchers that makes himself available for quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, in Evan Ingram, one of the better pass catching tight ends in the game to play the Joker slot. I think this is a great move fantasy wise for Evan Ingram. Great move for the Denver Broncos. How you feeling about this one, Pete?
I really like this, man, because if we know anything about Sean Payton, we think about him and the tight ends. You think about Jimmy Graham, what he did with that. Right? You think, and, I'm not saying he's going to be putting up 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns, but I do see Jimmy Graham just being the nature of him, like, working that like kind of PPR game, getting a lot of receptions and whatnot. I could definitely see him cementing himself with the Broncos as like a top 5 or 6 tight end. I would not be surprised at that. Evan Ingram, it is heavy, but when you think about the weapons that they need, like how many wide receivers do they have over there? They really don't have many.
It's Cortland Sutton, Mims, really.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like they're signing him. I think he's going to be heavily involved in this offense. Like I said, we know how Sean Payton uses the tight ends. So this is exciting to me, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's like top 5, top 6 tight end fantasy wise.
No, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities. And I think especially what this team wants to do, like playing a little slower, playing defense, you can tell they're kind of like ground and pound, letting Bo Nix take his shots downfield when they want. Like Ingram's going to be one of the chain movers. And I think if you have him, this is an ideal landing spot for him because, the other place I thought it would have been probably a good fit was like with the Rams. I would have thought, that would have been a good pairing there. Kind of play the middle between the two receivers on the outside. But he's the secondary pass catcher now on this Denver Broncos team. And to me, Evan Ingram's a player who, like, once he establishes himself, he gets hella volume. Like he can get 8 to 10 catches in a game, and I don't think that shocks anybody. So PPR wise, hell yeah, this is a great move. NFL wise, this made a Denver Broncos offense that was getting better as the season progressed a lot better, man. I love this move for the Broncos.
I'm not mad at it. Definitely not mad at all.
I was really shocked when I know the GM is super young there. Maybe he's pulling his best Nico Harrison from the Mavs, like just trying to dismantle the team. I have no clue what the Jags were doing, but it seems like they want to start from scratch. I thought Evan Ingram would be the kind of player you want like to keep along for that journey until you replace him. Like, I didn't understand that move, just flat out releasing him, not trading him. Like he played through the season. He wasn't hurt. I still to this day can't understand unless there was some agreement between Evan Ingram and the Jags, like, hey, just let me out of my contract. I don't know all the details of his contract, but like, why cut Evan Ingram in his second year of his deal in a 4-year deal when he just produced and looked the part last season? Like he's looked the part the last few seasons.
Yeah, it is definitely, you raise your eyebrows like, what? It could be a few things. You think about like when you think about other teams that like make these surprising just changes, you got to think like something happened in the locker room, some sort of rift. It could have been something like that, but who gives a shit? Like I think he's going to be a better signing here. I think fantasy wise, I'm loving it, bro.
Yeah, I'm in with you. And obviously, if you guys could drop your thoughts on Evan Ingram going to the Denver Broncos, should be in some shootouts too in that AFC West. I guess with the Chiefs and with the Chargers, it'll get up there sometime. So Evan Ingram signs with the Broncos. Any other breaking news that we get right here at the start of the new year, new NFL season, we'll get to you. But another player that's a free agent right now, Aaron Rodgers. And he was officially released at the start here, 1 o'clock Pacific time, 4 o'clock Eastern, was officially released and is now a free agent. So Aaron Rodgers can sign with any team. And there's been 2 main teams he's been linked with. Aaron Rodgers has. That's been the Steelers and the Giants. For me, I think if I would have loved to see him with Pittsburgh, but it kind of feels like they're going to go back to Russ. I think the Giants is going to be a phenomenal landing spot for Aaron Rodgers if he can keep his Achilles intact on that field again.
Oh,
it's him and Malik Neighbors might go insane.
Yeah. So you got wind that they might be that Pittsburgh might be going back to Russ.
So the Pittsburgh Steelers had a lot of interest in Aaron Rodgers over the last couple of weeks. I think that's kind of waned. Justin Fields left, and it feels like they might be either going back to Russ or exploring a different option outside of Aaron Rodgers. It feels like whatever talks that they've had, it didn't go the way Aaron. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to go there. I thought it would have been a perfect fit, like Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers, and that could be a smokescreen for something else in the future. But it feels like that might like Aaron Rodgers to the Giants is more of a possibility. But for fantasy purposes, I wouldn't mind either one, to be real with you.
Yeah, I think fantasy purposes, I don't know. I think fantasy purposes, you think about Aaron Rodgers and what his weapons would be with Pittsburgh. But they don't, they're a run first team. It looks like they're trying to play defense and run the rock and do that. But I think that the lights would be on in New York, and him paired with Malik Neighbors might be something to be excited about. We'll see what they do in the draft. Who else that they bring in to kind of help that offense? I think that would be if they got Cooper Kupp, that kind of would be dope.
Or Diggs, like somebody like Diggs, Cooper Kupp. There's some good slots available.
Is Diggs even out? I thought they were bringing him back to.
Nah, they traded for Christian Kirk, so they're not bringing his ass back.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. So I mean, maybe like Keenan Allen over there. If they bring Keenan Allen, if they find a nice slot over there, that would be crazy, bro. Because I mean, Aaron Rodgers can still throw the rock. I don't know about his decision making. I don't know if they give him like the power to kind of like control a team. I don't know if that's going to bode well for any team that he goes on. But one thing he can do, he can still sling that rock.
Yeah, he can, man. To tune almost 4,000 yards last year, and we know Aaron Rodgers. I think he's still fantasy relevant, but like never again a top 12 guy. He's going to consistently be like a QB2. So I don't even no matter what team he goes to.
Yeah.
4,000 with like 30 touchdowns. We kind of know that's the ceiling for him at this point in his career. Mm-hmm. Russell Wilson, we just talked about him. I haven't seen this visiting with the Giants and the Browns. The thing is, man, there's a lot of veteran talent available right now. You talk about Russ. I'm sure Kirk Cousins is probably going to get cut here very soon, if not traded at some point. Aaron Rodgers. So there's a bunch of old guys. And like you've heard the name, but there's a lot of young quarterbacks coming in too. Like we're gonna get Shadur, we're gonna get Cam Ward, we're gonna get Dart. Like there's some new names that are gonna come in there. It's going to be interesting to see how this thing all pans out for these veteran guys. Daniel Jones just signed. We saw Geno go to the Raiders and Sam Darnold go to the Seahawks. Like I don't know, man. There's going to be one of these veteran guys that ends up in a shitty position. I hope it's not Russ, but.
I don't think it's going to be. I think it's actually going to be Aaron Rodgers, right? Because I think, listen, bro, I think Aaron Rodgers has done a really good job of fucking up his name and his branding over the course of the last few years. I mean, you cannot deny it. You cannot deny it. Listen, he's 40 plus, right? And you could see kind of like what he did and how he had control of that Jets franchise and how that turned out. Right? Like a bunch of dead cap space, fired coaches, bringing in his friends to no avail to have a losing season. Like
you giving Aaron Rodgers too much credit, bro. It's not just him. He's not doing all that. You think he's got that much power?
Yes, I do think. I think they gave him that much power. Like what do you mean he's not doing all that?
He's not the GM. They have to go make that decision. It's not all Aaron Rodgers.
Of everything I just said, where was I wrong about? What was I wrong?
The only thing I think he really did, Devontae Adams and getting Lazard. Like, that's really it. And I don't think he dismantled this franchise. I think he wanted Robert Saleh. They got rid of Robert Saleh, and he said he wanted him. So it's like, at some point.
No. There's one thing.
It's not. He's not the GM of the team.
No, you gotta watch these signs, bro. You gotta watch these signs because they're gonna say it's all good when it ain't, right? And when Robert Saleh comes up to give him a hug on a nationally televised game and he pushes him away and says we're cool. Nah, bro. It's like he came in to give him a hug, show him some love. He pushed him away. Like, that's some bullshit, right? We've seen that with LeBron, and we've seen that with Spoelstra. LeBron kind of nudges Spoelstra. They're saying that's all good. It comes out later that it was dysfunction between those two, and that's why he went back to Cleveland. Like, let's be real with what we see versus like what's said. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get
rid of Aaron Rodgers afterward. Like, if it was really that, like, if he had that big of a hold on the Jets franchise, why they cut him? Why they decide to move on? Why they
Well,
get a whole new
he's
GM
talking
and
about
everything else, bro? Like,
come on, bro. Like that's his decision too. He's talking about, well, I'm mulling over retirement. I don't know if I, I'm saying whoop de whoop whoop. Why are you going to keep him if you're gutting everything and he legitimately has no chance to win a ship over there or even compete? And you're 40 years old. What the fuck? Why the fuck would you want to stay? He's not
I
gonna. He
think you're
doesn't want
giving
to
him too
stay.
much credit as far as having power,
No,
and
I don't
especially
think so.
now.
No, I
Wherever
don't
he
think
signs
so.
now, he's got to fit in. And whether that's with Dable, my screen,
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like with Dable, or like you got to have a strong coach to be like, look, all you have to do is play quarterback. None of that other bullshit we give a shit about. Like, all we want you to do is to motherfucking, what I'm saying, make these throws, make these read these coverages, and just be Aaron Rodgers, the football player, not Aaron Rodgers, the personality. That's what I think. What I'm saying? My thoughts on him honestly just aren't too high because as talented as he was, he's a shell of himself talent-wise. You got to be realistic. And he's been known to fuck up some franchises. Let's just be real.
So, in your estimation, if one of the
Opinion,
quarterbacks is fucked, it's Aaron Rodgers, and we could have potentially seen him play his last football game.
I wouldn't say potentially play his last football game, but if
he's not going to be a backup anywhere.
Okay, but listen, if I'm choosing, like, he can get a starting gig and like fuck up that franchise. Like, you think about this, Dable, right? Dable's was kind of on the hot seat. He's a good coach, kind of on the hot seat, right? If he goes there and Aaron Rodgers is just a flop, Dable's probably going to lose his job. Tomlin, kind of, as good as Tomlin is, he's kind of on the hot seat, right? They want more than just a mediocre team that makes that squeaks into the playoffs and loses. Like, that's all that they've been. I think that team has a better chance with Russ than they do with Aaron Rodgers. The reason, like, Russ and DK already got a connection. Like, they used to play together. They used to rock together. So Russ now has more than just Pickens. He's got DK, right? Russ has his footprint in Pittsburgh already, right? They're bolstering up that defense. I think Russ can compete and actually take this team to another level, like a step up, right? Russ is still talented. Russ is he's still got one of the best deep balls. But most importantly, he does not run the risk of just being a nuisance in that organization. Unlike Aaron Rodgers does. Listen, Jay, I know you, bro. I've known you for 20 plus years, and I know that you have a tendency to kind of hold on to players when they're a lot long in the tooth. Bro, this is not
holding on,
bro.
Aaron
The
Rodgers,
same
he was one of the better passes. What did he finish in passing
last year? Don't even say nothing stupid like that. You said he was one of the best. Who was?
Aaron Rodgers.
Top 10 what?
In passing yards and probably in touchdowns.
Well, you gonna make us look this up, bro.
Go ahead and look it up, dog. Go ahead and look it up, dog. He had to have been close. He threw for almost 4,000 last year. He threw 30 touchdowns.
But that ain't that. That's not something to be. Bro, he's trash, bro. Come on, let's be real.
That's your emotions playing into it, bro. You're not looking at the statistics of it. You're using the emotions, and that's coming off of the torn Achilles, bro. He got sharper as the year went on. So I don't know.
He didn't get sharper as the year went on.
He did get sharper when he got Devontae.
He was tearing it up. Devontae grabbed him and said, "Throw me the goddamn rock." He said, "Throw me the rock." Listen, if you got Devontae on one side, you got Garrett Wilson on the other side, and you're not throwing for 3,000 yards, for 4,000 yards, to me, that's a fail, bro.
Now you're not throwing for 3,000. I see.
I'm just keeping it G. I'm just keeping that shit
switching
G,
that argument up now. But yeah, Russ. I think Russ needs to stay in Pittsburgh. I think for fantasy wise, that'd be the best. If he goes to the Giants, I'd probably be out on Russ completely. In the Browns, I for sure would be out 1,000%. If he goes, I don't know what the Browns are going to do at quarterback, but if it's Russ, I'm out.
Damn.
They just posted a pic of his strolling the beach, wrapped in a blanket. Is this Aaron Rodgers? Wrapped in a blanket while these teams are waiting for him to pick where he wants to play.
Bro,
ayahuasca barefoot,
pupils dilated. Just he wasn't trying to pick where he wants to play. He was trying to decide what planet he was on right there. I'm trying to tell you, bro. Listen, if Aaron, I'm not even gonna bring that up, but if Aaron, What
Aaron
other
Rodgers. I gotta
quarterback
see
you
this picture.
know?
Hold on, I gotta see this picture so we can share it, bro.
What other quarterback you know is high on drugs,
I gotta see this
completely guts
picture.
a franchise, and still got my dog? Show the pic,
I'm
bro.
about
Show
to
the
show the
pic.
pic right now.
I'm so weak. I'm dead already. This dude is high on drugs, probably during the season too. He looked like a
Bro,
Chad.
hey, I
Look at
think
this.
we low key, we called this out. It was the exact barefoot on the beach, the pupils dilated. Look at this dude.
Toast
Oh
curling. Look at that dude, man. Come on. That's that's hella funny.
yo, Aaron Rodgers, man.
Is that in San Diego? Is that
He
where in
says it's
PB or something?
that
Where
ain't
he
San
at?
Diego, bro. He probably, yeah, he probably off the coast of some foreign country.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah, but
foreign
yeah, I
country.
mean, listen, bro, he was top 8 in passing. He was top 8, I'll give it to you.
See, you know what I'm saying?
But then we only had what? We only had 6 4,000-yard passes last year. That's crazy as hell.
17 game season. 17 game season. I
That's
keep saying
crazy as hell, bro. Damn.
this man gonna get me hot. A-Rod is better than Russ right now. I'm a Steelers fan and watched every game. Russ is deep ball or nothing. Is that cap or fact, P? Because I don't think you're giving Aaron. I'm gonna be honest. I think you're letting personal stuff come into your evaluation of
It's
Aaron
having nothing to
Rodgers.
do with personal stuff, bro.
I'm telling you my side of it. From what I see, my vantage point, I think Aaron Rodgers he's grouped in with like a lot of not just like the weird stuff, the political stuff, the podcast. It's like all this extra stuff with Aaron Rodgers. And then I think we forget like his second half last year was a good second half of football. And he was coming off of the Achilles, another year removed from that. I know he's old. I know he's 40 fucking two, but another year removed from that because his mobility was really the thing that was questioned early on.
Yeah.
He wasn't mobile. And then towards the second half of the year, he was moving around the pocket a little bit better, potentially going to a situation where the offensive line has to be better than what it was in New York. I just think if he threw for 4,030 next year, it wouldn't shock me at all.
If Aaron Rodgers threw for 4,030?
If he threw for 4,030, I think if he plays 17 season, we should expect that from him. 4,030. I think that should be the expectation from him. And that to me is maybe it's not top 10 in fantasy because the rushing, but like I think that's one of the better throwers of the football in the game still.
No, I wouldn't say that. You're going too far.
Okay,
look,
where
seems like where would I put him? What are you talking about?
Like
one of the best
number?
throwers
Give
of
me
football?
a prediction for him. Say he goes to the Giants, plays healthy season.
If he goes to the Giants, plays the entire season, you're talking about fantasy wise?
Numbers wise, at this point I don't even care about fantasy because we can talk about fantasy. I don't think he's an elite fantasy quarterback. So I think that conversation we agree on that. It's where is he at as a football player? You're talking about potentially him being the one that's left out. Like there's no way Aaron Rodgers is still a good quarterback.
No, I'm not saying. Look, I think he's going to find a gig. I'm not saying he's not going to find a gig. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying of the two older quarterbacks, I would rather have Russ. And it's not like I don't care about his political standpoint. I don't care about his podcasts and whatnot. But if you got some guy who is like, think about just bro, like you cannot deny this. This isn't personal when I say he always has a rift with the coach, right? He had a riff with the coach in Green Bay, didn't want to adopt a system, was openly complaining about the fact that, oh, we run too much motion. We do this, we do that. No, I'm not doing that. We run too much motion. I just want to do it. Bro, you're not the fuck. Like, come on. Like, let's be real. Then you come back and have a publicly exchange with your head coach, and he happens to get fired. And, you bring in your offensive coordinator. Offense still ain't running. You bring in all your weapons. You have two top 15 wide receivers, right? You got two top 15 wide receivers. You don't crack 4,000. You don't crack 30. You keep rounding up to 30 through 28. Let's keep it G.
Oh my
right?
God, here we go.
You're like, let's stop. Oh, the standard is 4. Bro, it's 38.
16 games. So give him an extra game. What is he doing? What's he doing with an extra game, P? What's he doing with an extra game?
He's probably throwing 39, bro. He probably got his picks up too, bro. He probably got his picks up.
Throwing 405 TDs that game. That's what he's doing.
Shit. How long has it been since he even threw a 300-yard game?
Let's
let's
see. He threw one
G.
last year. How many did he throw last year?
He threw
He had
one
one last
last year
against
and
Miami.
did not throw any since like 20. I don't know. But listen, to
You
this
said
guy's
hating,
point,
bro. That's what it sounds. It
no,
sounds like hate.
I'm not even hating, bro. I'm just visualizing. Like I could watch like you can see this stuff happen, bro. Like Aaron Rodgers is the same as Pat Mahomes last hit homie in a
dog shit offense. Dog shit referring to the screen. He had.
To the scheme.
I mean, like he had a good season last year. I mean, to be honest, it's like
he had a good season when you're talking about what, bro?
When I'm talking about
when you're talking about like
statistically,
stats,
he didn't
right?
get the wins. It's in New York. Everything's scrutinized. He's scrutinized. I just think that he goes to a better, like he stays in New York, he's still going to get scrutinized under the microscope.
Listen to me. Listen.
But he's healthy. When you're offensive line, you got to give him his props. He played well last year, even in the face of you saying that he didn't.
It goes past stats, bro. If you watch the games and then you're saying like he's obviously you can't take away he's older, right? So you don't expect him to be more mobile. But if you're seeing if you're watching somebody wide open, he's kind of fixating on one person, a crosser, and it's like, okay, this dude's not open, yet you still throw it to him because for whatever reason, like you got to factor that type of stuff in as well. Like actually reading these defenses and playing, like you got to factor that in. Russell Wilson started off playing pretty well in Pittsburgh, and it kind of fell off.
Yes,
towards the end.
I was just
so that
was about to go.
No. I mean that's the truth, right? He kind of went like this, right? Aaron Rodgers started off kind of trash and started upticking a little bit more, right? Obviously, you have Devontae Adams that came in that helped, right? Because there's a clear distinction. We all know when that started to take off. Was going into halftime, D-Hop is like, oh, well, I'm here 2.5 games, and I'm Devontae Adams comes in 2.5 games, 0 impact. That at the end of the second half, he grabs him and says, give me the rock, right? He goes from 1 target in the first half to 200 yards in the second half. That's when Aaron Rodgers started catapult. You give Russ another wide receiver, you can expect that level of him going downhill to even out or maybe even playing a little bit better, right? And again, accompanied with all the extra additional shit, I would take Russ. I'm sorry.
I think Rodgers has a better season this year, depending on where he goes. And
depending on where he goes, think about it, it's limited. It's either Pittsburgh, it's New York. Where else can he go? Is there any other
Cleveland,
options?
Maybe, but he's not going to Cleveland. So,
yeah, if he goes to Cleveland, it's a wrap.
My man said, "Why does he look like Justin Bieber? Why does he look like Justin Bieber from the side? This dude, Aaron Rodgers, bro.
Shit, I can see it.
This Aaron Rodgers, bro. Like, I mean, I guess I ain't mad at him, man. He be living his life. I ain't really Aaron Rodgers, but you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think Russ is limited, a little bit more limited than unlimited. I think he's a little bit more limited than Aaron Rodgers is, like what you could do with him. I think if he goes to the Steelers, it's good. I think if he goes to the Giants, it's all bad for him. But it is what it is. Yeah. It is what it is. Anybody else, bro? We still got a lot of other receivers out there too that we haven't even like talked about really, and that could really have like big fantasy impact. You got Stephon Diggs is still available right now. You got Amari Cooper is still available right now. Keenan is still available. One of these receivers do you feel like will have the biggest impact? Amari Cooper, Diggs, Keenan Allen.
I mean, I think Amari Cooper has the most left in the tank.
Really?
I mean, why not? Like Amari Cooper's not that old. If he's 30, it's probably just turning 30 this year, right?
Yeah.
His quarterback situation in Cleveland was all messed up. I think he could fit. So I think he could fit extremely well somewhere. Like if he goes back to Dallas opposite CD, I think that would be money for him. Maybe if he goes to the Niners, the Niners kind of got a bunch of young wide receivers already there. But I think he's definitely got a lot to prove and a lot left in the tank. And I keep writing off Keenan Allen, and I'm not going to lie to you. I have to stop because he keeps proving me wrong. Keenan Allen, I think he mentioned he wants to come back and play in California.
He said LA. He said Chargers.
If he comes back and he plays for the Chargers, I think that would be money. And then Stephon Diggs, you can't write. I think all three of those guys are really good. Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen. I think, put it like this. I would take Amari Cooper and Stephon Diggs over Cooper Kupp.
Whoa, that's very interesting. I kind of think I think Amari Cooper is the one I'd put last right now. I think he went to a situation with the Bills where I thought he would thrive a little bit more. It didn't. I mean, he was struggling really to beat out Khalil Shakir for opportunities, which was surprising, even though it's a midseason deal and like, you know, you got to expect him to learn the offense. To me, that was a little surprising. So it would be curious because I think wherever Amari Cooper goes, you know, obviously he's more of an outside receiver, so he's going to be the secondary target, and he's not going to play that number one role anymore. Whereas I think Cooper Kupp to the right team is going to be the one. I think Diggs is probably a 2 the rest of his career, especially coming off the ACL. And I think Keenan Allen at this point is probably a 2 as well. So, I mean, Cooper Kupp could be a 2, like depending on which team he goes to. I'm not saying that he can't, but the one that has the best chance to be a 1 is Cooper Kupp. I think the next one I would take is Keenan Allen because I still think he proved last year that he belongs on the field, still has an impact. I think I'd be kind of concerned a little bit about Stephon Diggs this year. Coming off of the ACL, we just know that it never really ends well for players, older players, especially secondary receivers. And then the last one, Amari Cooper. Seeing him with the Bills last year really was kind of I was like, man, like I wanted him to jump off the screen a little bit more than he did.
Yeah, and I could see that. You know, and I think it's one of those things like, you know, bringing the Niners back into this. Everybody's panicking over what the Niners have done the last few days, and rightfully so, right? Gutting the roster, getting cheap, saving a lot of money. The Bills did that same exact thing last year, right? Granted, they have a much better quarterback, a top echelon quarterback. They gutted that entire roster, right? And if you think about it, of the people that they kept their young homegrown players. Khalil Shakir was one of them. So it's, you know, when you look at Shakir's performance compared to Amari Cooper's performance, you factor in the fact that it's a midseason deal. He's got to learn the playbook. He's got to learn his spots. There's already that chemistry with Shakir. Mm-hmm. He's a young receiver and he's proving that he's worth. So why not continue to give him the shine unless proven otherwise, right? So I think that kind of played a factor into like Amari Cooper's falling into the shadows or falling into a secondary role. Whereas of these wide receivers, and you factor in age and just kind of like talents, Amari Cooper can fit just about on any NFL team right now. So I think his market is going to be stronger than Cooper Kupp's. He's not as injury prone as Cooper Kupp, as well as Stephon Diggs. I think Amari Cooper is. I wouldn't be. Listen, put Amari
Cooper is injury prone. Let's not forget that.
I mean, compared to
he missed hell of time last year. He's missed time over the last couple of years. Couldn't stay healthy in Dallas. That was like one of the bigger. I would say I think he's just as injury prone as Cooper Kupp.
Okay,
maybe we're splitting hairs there, but
yeah. I think Amari Cooper on Seattle would be crazy. That'd
actually be a good fit for him with Darnold. They're going to need an outside receiver. That's actually a really good fit for him. I think that'd be probably his best fit. To be honest, like I can't really think of. I was trying to think of like, okay, where would Amari Cooper go and be the primary outside receiver? Seattle is in desperate need of one of those right now. So, to be honest, that probably is the best landing spot for him. Shit, you might as well just be his agent, bro.
Hey man, and I charge, and I may charge you twice the price too. Amari, it's good.
You said 5%, right? You said 5%, 3%. No, you said 5%, right?
Hey, 5%. I'd probably get one of the best deals in the world, bro.
Damn.
Fully guaranteed.
Well, shit, man. Anything else you want to cover, bro? Obviously, you know.
Yeah. I mean, look, you know, it's as a Niner fan, it's tough. I'm not gonna hold you. But it's not as bad as it seems. You think about the players we still got. We still got CMC. We still got Kittle. You know, you brought up a good question off air, right?
Oh,
about Birdie. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I did. We were talking off stream, and you know, I think this is actually really good. We need to cover this. So we're talking 49ers, and me and P, you know, obviously we're on different sides of the spectrum here. I'm a little bit more like pessimistic about our quarterbacks, our future, and our team right now. P seems a little bit more encouraged. But to me, one of the offseason, the major thing this year is Brock Purdy and what that contract is going to look like. Like there's reports out there that we're offering him, 35 to 45 mil. There's reports that he wants 55 to 60 mil. Like, there's reports out there, but I think when it gets down to it, it's this team is breaking up because they want to pay Brock Purdy. So I asked P, and the question I'll ask right now, would you feel comfortable as a Niner fan with Brock Purdy being paid 50 million plus for the next 5 seasons? Like, are you okay with this dismantling happening of the 49ers to pay Brock Purdy to be the guy for the next 5 years? 50 mil plus?
You know what? It's one of those things, like, it's tough because, like, his talents, Brock Purdy's talents, but you also can't deny his limitations. You can't, right? Ideally, if you're paying somebody top echelon money, you want them to have at least a liver arm, right? Now, he can make up for that in some of his intangibles, like how fast he can process, right?
Yeah.
He is accurate, right? And he does got a good release, and he is, like, his pocket awareness is great. But would I rather have like him or like a Trevor Lawrence in this system, right? I would rather have Trevor Lawrence, just personally. I think that Trevor Lawrence is just more talented, right? And in the right system, Trevor Lawrence can really excel. From what I've seen from Brock Purdy, it's encouraging. So I don't know, man. I think that I would be indifferent. I think that I wouldn't be upset, but I wouldn't be like ecstatic, if that makes sense. Like, it's not like, yeah, we got one. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, we locked him in. I wouldn't be mad because, like, he has been better at quarterback than what we've seen the last few years with the Niners, right? He has been surprising. We went through an extremely rough patch with quarterbacks. So I don't know if that answers your question. I'd be a little bit, indifferent. I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be thrilled.
Well, I think that's the irony of this all, is that this move is kind of indifferent. It really is just one of those moves that, like, if we sign Brock Purdy, I think it signals to Niners fans that we're not winning a Super Bowl anytime soon. The window's officially closed. I think that the team has already signaled that by cutting everybody. They said the door is slammed shut. We need to do retool, rebuild, whatever word you want to use. But I just don't have any confidence in Brock being the guy and building around him and paying him franchise leading money, because I think while he's been good, there have been deficiencies that have been hidden by having talent on the team. When we've seen him with some of that talent gone, some of that offensive line production not there, like say Trent Williams is out for a game or two, or say he's missing some time, or he's not there anymore. What does that look like? CMC may not be on this team or effective on this team in the next couple of years. What does that look like? He's going to be missing a primary option, a dual threat option in Deebo Samuel this year, who obviously wasn't great last year, but that's going to be gone now. Brandon Ayuk may not be coming back until, a few weeks into the season. So I think there's just a lot of question marks that I have with Brock Purdy. And another one is, what happens if Kyle Shanahan's gone? What happens then? Because now you're stuck with Brock Purdy and it's not in Kyle Shanahan's system. So I think when I see this, and it's very similar to me to like Jimmy G, signing Jimmy G, because the anticipation that comes along with it, plays well in the system, does the little things, plays well with talent. And when you ask him to do anything more than play with that talent, play in big games, be the game changer, we see a different player. That's where I'm at with Brock Purdy.
See,
I wouldn't pay him more than 50 million.
I think it's easy to say that. I think what you're saying is easy to say about Brock Purdy. It's not factual. It's not. It's easy to say that. Well, he's Jimmy G. It's not Jimmy G. Like Jimmy G.
No, it's parallel situation.
That's the same thing.
Overpaying above average talent. Very, very similar situation. A talent that performs well with an above average talent that performs extremely well with good talent around him. That's what I'm talking about with Jimmy G.
But Jimmy G is not really performing. Like, Jimmy G's throwing a lot of picks. He's making stupid decisions, right? Brock Purdy doesn't.
But you weren't saying that when he was playing well. That's what I'm saying. Like, you weren't even saying that.
No, but like
Jimmy G was him.
You can see Jimmy G's career, right? You can see the differences. You should be able to see the differences between Brock Purdy and a Jimmy G. But to go back to your point, when you're talking about like Brock Purdy playing terribly without all this talent around him, right? You could say that about a few different quarterbacks. You could say that about You can say that about Joe Burrow, namely, right? When he doesn't have one of his top 2 receivers, his production is drastically lower. It's drastically lower. Like, let's keep this shit real. You know what I mean? Like, but going back to a time last year against the Detroit Lions, you think about, right? He didn't have his top tackle, didn't have his running back. I don't even think they even targeted Debo, really, if he even played. Didn't have Ayuk, and he threw for like what, over 300, like 350 and like 4 touchdowns against Detroit, which is a really good team, right? Even a really good defense, right? Like, he has the talent he can do it within the system. With that being said, he still has limitations, right? Like, think about, do you think it was a mistake that they paid like Jordan Love?
No, because I think there's another tier that Jordan Love can go.
Even though he hasn't been to that tier.
I think the talent. I think we can see the talent, and I think they had to pay him at the time because we didn't see what happened last year, the second part of last year. So I think we hadn't seen that yet.
So you said so right there, right? Like, he played well up until he got the contract. We can say he regressed last year than he did the year before.
Yeah, he didn't play as well as he did the year before. Correct.
Okay, and even in the playoffs, you can see like part of the reason why the Niners beat him is because wasn't necessarily the Niners. It was kind of on him, right? Like, he made the mistake to roll out, throw an erratic pass with the season on the line, cross his body, like the number one mistake you can make.
But they almost won that damn game because of Jordan Love too. Yeah, he made a crucial mistake, but they almost won that game because of him.
No, they lost the game because you can't have it both ways. You can't almost win, but you lost because
he played well that game. Outside of that pick, he played really well that game.
No, he played well in the first half, right? He played well in the first half. He really did. He makes some nice throws, right? He does make some nice throws. Brock Purdy, the same. You can say the same thing. Brock Purdy does create. He does create, right? He does work well outside of the system when he needs to. He can buy himself more time. He can do Texas T. To me, honestly, I would be ecstatic if he accepted a $40 million contract. That's something I could get behind. Yes. If you gave him like a 3-year, $45 million, I'd be like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Right?
4 years, 150. Let's run it.
I wouldn't be mad. Right? But just going back to it, it's like, if you're going to be building from scratch, I don't know. Shanahan likes him. We'll see what he can do. I can kind of see his limitations. He is smaller, and you can see that kind of be impacted in games when he's trying to throw over these defensive linemen. You can see you can see some of that stuff. So, I'm being realistic. I can sit here and be like, "Pay Brock Purdy, go Niners, bang bang Niner gang." But I mean, realistically, ideally, I'd want somebody with a live arm, and just maybe a little taller.
I'd rather draft somebody.
I'd rather trade. Like, I even told you this, bro. Would I be mad if we traded him maybe for a second and maybe a future first, moved up to the number 1 pick and got Cam Ward?
Or we stay where we're at, take Jackson Dart, and then we sign Aaron Rodgers and just let him train him up. You talking about dismantle a franchise? We ain't got nothing to dismantle. The whole franchise gone already, bro.
Bro, you talking about this Aaron Rodgers thing? Oh, he gonna try. What happened when they drafted Jordan Love? Aaron Rodgers supposed to coach him up. Aaron Rodgers said, "Bro, I don't have shit to do with you, bro."
42 now, bro. He ain't 38 like he was back then. So 36 whenever they drafted him. I think that'd be a dope ass move. Bring him back. Hey, he would cook. We could trade it. We could get rid of Purdy easy, bro.
Yeah, we could. Like, we could move Purdy. People compare. Oh, well, he's just like Sam. Nah, I think Purdy's better than Sam Darnold. Purdy's better than Sam Darnold. Like, Sam Darnold, you can tell gets rattled in the pocket. You can tell he hears footstep, and you can tell he starts shaking like this in the pocket and he gets sacked or throw a pick. Like, that's like Jimmy G.
Sam Darnold he showed me something last year, though.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, shit, man. We're gonna have to get back on this at some point here. Good talking with you, P. It's been a minute, so good getting back on the screen with you, bro. Oh, yeah. And we'll cover more free agency. If there's anything else that comes out the next couple of days, you might see myself or both of us here on the page here very soon. But until then, anything else, P?
Hey, man, have faith, baby, have faith. But I'm looking for. Hey, look, I love these changes. I love what's going on in free agency for the fantasy perspective.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have a better season than we did last year.
Shout out to y'all for rocking with the page. We'll see y'all in next episode. Peace out.